woont Mashiach.
He's come out of nowhere and we don't know who he is.
What do we know about him?
He's leading desperate people.
So this is a cult?
We don't know who he's associated with. He could be creating an army. Or he could be leading them to their death.
What are you doing in Syria?
Delivering a message.
A message from whom?
My father.
And who is your father?
We've lost it.
What do you mean?
He just disappears.
No one just disappears.
We all witnessed a miracle.
He saved my daughter's life.
You need to see this.
Bury it for as long as you can. He didn't just click his heels and end up here. He clearly had help.
You get around Syria, Israel,
Texas.
It's the nature of my work.
and what is that work?
God's work.
Who do you think he is?
You didn't see what I saw.
And if I did, would I be calling him the second coming?
How far will this new movement spread?
I'm going to find out everything about you.
This is bigger than what you can imagine.
Shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Whoa.
Those are your parents? And they brought the Galactic Armada? Watch out for the kid! Don't hit him!
Son, there you are. Quick, get in the car. We gotta go.
No, wait, Dad, I gotta tell you something.
What? I know. You were right. Alien invasion. I see that now. Look up. There it is.
Yeah, you know, about that. It's actually just a rescue mission.
Rescue mission?
Yeah, you see, this alien kid was left behind by mistake, and they're just coming back to get him. So we have to help him, Dad, because if we don't, who else will?
What?
Forget it. You know, you wouldn't believe me anyway.
Son, come back! Son! Chicken Little!
Mr. Croc! Wait, he's telling the truth!
He is! Though given his track record, we understand why you don't believe him!
Watch out for the kid! No! Don't hit him! Don't hit him! Look out!
I am the chosen one.
himself is a major theosophist and was a writer for Lucifer magazine, clarifies, quote, "The adversary, or Satan, is no other than Lucifer, the light-bearer, the bright morning star. He is the initiator, awakening the divine faculties of intellect on man. He is the king of the fallen angels, spirits from higher spheres, who descended among primitive mankind of the third race, to develop in man and endow him with his self-conscious mind or manus." End of quote. Theosophy teaches that Lucifer is actually a divine being that saves mankind and brings him consciousness. Many modern-day New Agers who are deceived by Theosophy repeat the same theme. For example, David Spangler admits that Lucifer is a being that New Agers honor and that the light of Lucifer is the light of God. Quote, he says, "The true light of Lucifer cannot be seen through sorrow, through darkness, or through rejection. The true light of this great being can only be recognized when one's own eyes can see with the light of the Christ, the light of the inner sun. Lucifer works within each of us, trying to bring us to wholeness as we move into the new age, which is the age of man's wholeness. Each of us in some way is brought to that point, which I term the Luciferic initiation."
Flammas eius, Lucifer matutinus inveniat.
The particular particular doorway through which the individual must pass if he is to come fully into the presence of his light with his whole. Lucifer comes to give us the final gift of wholeness if we accept it, that he is free and we are free. This is the Luciferic initiation. It is one that many people now and in the days ahead will be facing, for it is an initiation into the new age. It is an initiation of leaving the past and moving into the new, shedding our guilt and fears, our anxieties, our needs, our temptations, and becoming whole and at peace because we have recognized our inner light, the light that unfolds us, the light of God. End of quote. We can now therefore conclude that Luciferian doctrine is fused into the New Age movement through Theosophy. Along with this doctrine is the belief that because of Satan, man will now evolve spiritually and intellectually, conquer the world, conquer nature, and become a god. Now here is an admission that Freemasonry is aimed at creating God-men, just as Hitler wanted to do. The purpose of initiation in Freemasonry is to attain godhood. Quote, "The height of the lodge, even as high as the heavens, implies that the range of consciousness possible to us, when we have developed our potentialities to the full, is infinite. Man who has sprung from the earth and developed through the lower kingdoms of nature to his present rational state, has yet to complete his evolution by becoming a godlike being and unifying his consciousness with the omniscient to promote which is and always has been the sole aim and purpose of all initiation."
You know what, sometimes what you leave out of a story is even more interesting than what you leave in. That happened when we were in Oxford, Maryland. Learned that the pride of that old town was one Robert Morris Jr., the financier of the American Revolution. Years ago, we used to go down to the county library to get a picture of a bird like that, but now we just use the internet. That's where I found this picture here. Now, the caption said it was a shot of the Greek god Mercury handing a bag of loot to Robert Morris, the financier of the American Revolution. Well, it's just a tiny part of a much bigger picture called the apotheosis of Washington. Now, apotheosis is a Greek word that means to make divine. In other words, this painting shows George Washington becoming a god. Now, I never knew that happened. But there it is for all to see, painted under the most famous dome in the whole country, maybe the whole world, the United States Capitol. Now, the most interesting part of this particular heaven are the folks that live in it. Now, you'd expect to see Moses and Abraham and Ezekiel and that crowd hanging around, but not a single fella from the Bible's up there. Now, Minerva, the Roman goddess of crafts and wisdom, is shown delivering an electrical generator and batteries and a printing press to Benjamin Franklin, Samuel Morse, and Robert Fulton. And Neptune, the Roman sea god, and Venus, the goddess of love, are shown helping to lay the transatlantic telegraph cable. I'll bet you they were a big help. Now, there's some other gods, but not a single prophet, apostle, or even a lower archangel in the whole 4,500 square feet. All I know is what I read on the internet, but you hear a lot of talk these days about the religious beliefs of our founding fathers. Now, those boys may have been as devout as saints. We'll never know. One thing's for sure, you'd never tell by looking at Capitol Dome. Charles Paparella, WBOC News.
The Lord Maitreya is awaited by Christians as the Christ, although they don't know it, is awaited by Hindus as Krishna, although they don't know it, is awaited by Jews as the Messiah, although they don't know it, is awaited by Muslims as the Imam Mahdi, although they don't know it, and awaited by Buddhists who have his name right, as Maitreya Buddha, foretold to come now by the previous Buddha, Gautama Buddha, who said at this time would come into the world a great teacher, a Buddha like himself, who from his great spiritual stature would stimulate and galvanize, inspire humanity to create a brilliant golden civilization based, as he put it, on righteousness and truth. But on the day of declaration, they will absolutely not miss it. On the day of declaration, the which will be arranged, of course, a certain day, when enough people are responding and demanding that we let this man speak to the whole world. He's already well known, been on media all over the world, and people are clamoring to hear him speak to the world as a whole, thinking he's the Imam Mahdi or Krishna or Maitreya Buddha or the Christ or whatever, the Messiah. Whatever they think, all these names apply to him, but he doesn't like them. He says, if I'm the Christ to Christians, well, what about the Jews? What about the Hindus? What about the Muslims? If I'm Krishna to the Hindus, well, what about the others? Where do they come in? If I'm Maitreya Buddha, which of course he is, they're the only one who have got his name right. If I'm Maitreya Buddha, well, what about the Christians? What about the Hindus? What about the Buddhists, the Jews and so on? So he wants only to be called the teacher. On the day of declaration, to get back to that, he will, I don't know how long it will take, maybe 30 minutes, 35 minutes, something, 40 minutes, something like that. He will not speak, not say a word, but his thoughts, his ideas will be heard inwardly, telepathically, by everybody in the world, everybody above the age of 14. So if you're 14, you're Slovenian, you'll hear him in Slovenian. If you're Russian, you'll hear him in Russian. Americans in American. English in English. French in French. Dutch in Dutch, and so on. He will give a kind of account of the long history of humanity. Show how old we are, from what a height, a spiritual height we have descended into this materiality of today, endangering the very future of the species, and at the same time showing the future, what it can be like if we just accept that we're brothers and sisters of one humanity. We can create a civilization based on that, which will take us, as he puts it, to the very stars. And the masters will give to humanity their insight, their wisdom, their age-old wisdom and experience and knowledge, and stimulate and galvanize humanity into creating the most brilliant civilization.
The activists people are calling Al-Masih.
Some people are calling him a prophet.
He saved my daughter's life.
Or maybe he's a terrorist.
Are you the Messiah?
I am here to bring about the world to come.
While this is going on, his energy, which we call the Christ principle, the energy of love, will flow out in tremendous potency throughout the world. He has said it will be as if I embrace the world. People will feel it even physically. And at the same time, and this will create an inner certainty that this is the Christ, an intuitive understanding of the message, a heartfelt response to the message. And on the physical plane, there will be hundreds of thousands of spontaneous miracle cures, healings all over the planet. And in these three ways, you will know that that one is the Christ, the world teacher, the Imam Mahdi, the Messiah, Maitreya Buddha, Krishna. By whatever name you await him, you will know that that one has come and beginning his outer mission in the world.
It is claimed that his manifestation will come just after an economic meltdown. It is also claimed that Maitreya wants the world to share resources in order to eliminate inequality in the world. He's going to be all things to all men, it seems, and unite the world's religions. The Bible says that when the Antichrist appears, he will do so with great signs and wonders that will deceive many, many people. So this New Age Maitreya is already taking credit for all kinds of alleged spiritual signs and wonders. Benjamin Krem also claims that UFO sightings will increase before the manifestation of Maitreya, and that Maitreya will be able to explain UFOs. Quoting from a book called The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow by Constance Cumby, it says, "Won't the advent of a single world religion annoy the hierarchies of all the current Orthodox religions? I asked. More than that, Krem said with a smile. They will be shocked. I dare say they will be among the last to accept the Christ. But according to Kissling, Krem said confidently, it will come because it must. We will begin to live, he said, as potential gods. End of quote. Is in the process of establishing a communistic, socialistic one-world government. In addition to this new socialistic world government, it will also establish a new religion. This new religion will embrace all the world's religions, but will in fact promote Lucifer as the true God. Those who do not worship the beast spoken of in Revelation and do not accept the mark of the beast will be cut off from society and terminated. Talking about the New World Order and the new one world religion that goes along with it, I want to introduce you to a place called Astana in Kazakhstan. Astana is described as the New World Order's great city, and I'm reading from this website which says, Astana is the capital city of Kazakhstan with an official estimated population of nearly 700,000 people as of March 1st, 2010. Astana is the first large capital being built in the 21st century. The word Astana originates from Persian, Astana from the verb istadan, which means to stand in respect, and literally means threshold, i.e. royal or sacred, when people stand in respect and awe, implying where the court is seated, as in a capital city or a shrine town. What this really means is that Astana is being built as a shrine to the New World Order. Now, we want to have a look at what this means and the symbolism surrounding this, as well as the religious aspects or the religious dimensions to it. The city has been described as a futuristic occult capital being built in a remote and deserted area of the Asian steppes. The city also depicts many instances of sun worship, making one believe that the city is a celebration of the religion. So let's have a look at some of the photographs of the New World Order capital. Now this imagery here, these two pillars that we see, let's see what the website says about these two pillars. It says, this layout is present in a majority of important cities, including Washington, D.C. and Paris. The two golden pillars are believed to represent Masonic symbolism, specifically the two pillars of masonry, Boaz and Jachin. These pillars are featured in all Masonic lodge rooms. Boaz and Jachin were two copper, brass or bronze pillars which stood in the porch of Solomon's temple, the first temple in Jerusalem. Okay, so we see Masonic imagery. Here we can see that the main building, which is sort of the presidential palace, is built along the same lines as Washington, D.C. Now, of course, we know that Washington, D.C. was built totally along occult lines. And we see another view here of the presidential palace. Here we can see what is called the Tree of Life. At the back here, we'll see later that there's a meeting room right at the top here where the world's religions are being united. There's an eagle up there which symbolizes power. We're seeing basically a New World Order, New Age city being built. Okay, so let's carry on. Going inside, we see this globe signed by representatives from 17 religious denominations, and this represents uniting all religions together under the New World Order. Very, 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 very significant. Okay, so we see a clear plan that part of the New World Order is to unite the world's religions without a shadow of doubt. Now, this pyramid is dedicated to the renunciation of violence and to bring together the world's religions. The architect claims that the building has no recognizable religious symbols, but in reality the pyramid is a temple for sun worship, which is the religion of the New World Order. The pyramid is the main symbol of Freemasonry and ancient religious doctrine. Today's elite use these pyramids as symbols of power throughout the world. Las Vegas and Dubai contain similar structures, as do many other cities in the world. Here we have the apex of the pyramid, and this is what we're going to see inside. So the apex is round and covered with sunlight. Images of white doves are embedded in the windows. This is obviously to do with world peace, representing also the unification of world governments and religions in this round circular shape, and the New World Order. So the apex, which is at the top of the pyramid, is the ultimate representation of illumination, which is the spiritual evolution of humanity into this new golden age or era of Aquarius, as we've seen before. Inside we see this meeting room And we see the sun imagery and eye right in the center of this room. I mean, it couldn't be more clear. This is pure Luciferian worship right here. This is Lucifer being worshipped. And this meeting room here, which is the main room, also has the sun symbolism and or eye in the ceiling. And it is the conference room where the religious leaders of the world meet. But we can see that the sun occupies the whole ceiling. So all about illumination. This is the tree of life, and it says this monument is meant to embody a folk tale about a mythical tree of life and a magic bird of happiness. The tree of life, as it's called, is a roadmap which spirits supposedly use when they leave the material world to join the afterlife. The golden globe at the top of the monument represents the sun, the supreme deity, and here we have sun worship again. Now inside the gold globe, which is right at the top of that construction there, we have this very strange looking symbol. And it's a gold triangle which represents the president's handprint in the center, the president of this country. But there's something obviously much more mystical here. I believe this has to do with Satan, who the Bible says is the master of this world, or the prince of this world. This person says that the global elites scatter their symbols and doctrines all over the world, and of course the general population fail to recognize what's going on. So, you know, this could signify Satan's mark on the world, or his thumbprint or handprint, making an impression into this triangle. He's stamping his authority. Ultimately, this is right at the top of this tree of life. So, you know, once again, we have the shrine to Luciferianism, to illumination, that Satan is in fact the light bearer and the bringer of light to humanity and spiritual life to humanity. Here we have a helix shape. The helix has to do with the DNA of mankind, and one of the very significant things that you're going to find when you start studying the occult and what's happening in this New Age One World religion is the fusion of the sons of God with the daughters of men, i.e. the fallen angels being fused with humans to form these new superhumans, again this concept of transhumanism. And I'm sorry to say it, but it also is in the shape of a male sexual organ, which is very significant in things like Freemasonry, because most of the occult religions have to do with fertility cults. So man is building a shrine to himself. Lucifer is being glorified as the god of this world. And here we have this new age, new century city being built to glorify man. I said previously that the occultists claim that they get their inspiration from otherworldly beings, from spirit beings. They understand that these are fallen spirit beings that are on the dark side, but of course they believe that that's the good side because they invert what the Bible teaches, that what the Bible describes as the kingdom of darkness, they believe is the kingdom of light, or Lucifer's kingdom.
Yes. Yeah, well, you know, when I was young, I used to paint only nature. Preacher Polly, come on now. Everybody's waiting. Well, I don't know if right now.
Go ahead, preacher.
Well, but right now, I'm talking to the young
Yeah,
guy.
the Lord waits for no one.
Well,
Now, come on, get your butt in here.
Right now, it's not a good time for me to
Got a good time. Now, come on.
It's a hell of a night outside. Come on, let's do the sermon on the lawn. Can we bring it down just a little bit, please? Can we bring it down just a little, please? Brothers and sisters, please quiet down. Thank you. Brothers and sisters, we come here time after time and we talk about the same old.
Quiet.
We talk about Jesus.
That's right.
Jesus said and Jesus went. Jesus heard and Jesus walked over. Jesus. Well, I don't want to talk about Jesus this evening. Because as the big man teaches us, it's two sides to every story. Not one, but two. A story is not one-sided. A story has a duality. There's two sides to every story. Which brings to mind the phrase, necessary evil. Now, I know many of you may hear the phrase necessary evil and you say to yourself, that don't even make no sense to me. Can't be no such thing as necessary. How's evil necessary? That don't match. That's plaids and stripes, evil and necessary. You see, because without bad, there is no good. Without light, there is no dark. You need both these things. You know what I'm saying? If every day is a sunny day, well, then what's a sunny day? Well, the bottom line, brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to tell you tonight is that evil is necessary. Evil is necessary. Thereby, if it's necessary, evil must be good. Evil is good. That's what I say.
And that God's kingdom of light is the kingdom of darkness. So it's just inverted.
Matthew 24:24 talks about how there will be false Christs and false prophets that will arise in the end times and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. I'd like to focus on the false Christs portion of this verse because many people take this literally, and that there will be men or women in the end times that are claiming to be Jesus Christ himself. Now, while this is happening, I do not believe that this was the intent of this verse, and I'll share with you my thoughts just in a second on what I think it is. For the literal translation of false Christs, this is happening, and to a small degree. You have this man here in Brazil who is claiming to be Jesus Christ reincarnated. I think globally, worldwide, there's probably less than 15 people, maybe even less than that are actually claiming to be Jesus Christ. And even in doing so, they garnish very, very, very small followings of people. What I think the true intent of this verse is, and what is such a grand deception, because the enemy is not going to use these whacked out people that are only garnishing 5 to 20 followers at a time. He wants to deceive as many people as possible. And the deception that I see, and the big danger to Christianity, is not Hinduism and Buddhism or Islam. It is false Christianity that is the biggest deception of them all. And while we know there's a lot of denominations out there that are practicing all sorts of gospels that are not the true gospel, there is something that's really becoming profound across all around the world, and it's about this all you need is love message. I talked about this in my interview with Stephen Bancars. It's just only about love. Jesus always loved you. Doesn't matter what you do in this world, you can keep on doing it. Another popular campaign was Love Has No Labels. It's only focused around love. And so you can consider this the new age if you want. And the Pope is really playing into this as well, saying that it doesn't really matter whether you're Christian, Buddhism, whatever, the one world religion, we're all children of God. And so you're seeing this intertwining of not only all the religions together, but specifically regarding the New Age, you're seeing Christianity merge with secularism very profoundly. What's the main message here, guys? It's that in the verse Matthew 24:24 and others like it, which talk about the rise of false Christ in the end times, may not actually be pointed to people stating that they are Jesus Christ in the times that we're in, but rather a multitude of pastors, preachers, priests, and even lay persons saying, "Come, look over here. Here is the Christ. It is the Jesus Christ of the prosperity gospel of Joel Osteen." Or some others will say, "No, come look over here. Here is the Christ. It is the Christ of love, grace, mercy, and forgiveness. The all you need is love Christ. The Christ that does not focus on truth, justice, righteousness, and holiness in addition to love." Or even further, some will say, "No, come look over here. Here is the Christ. It is the Gnostic Christ, the Christ that wants you to self-elevate in occult or esoteric knowledge and wisdom as he did, so that you may set your minds free, this very New Age Jesus Christ." These are the false Christs that prophecy was speaking about, and these are the false Christs that are literally spreading like wildfire all across the world.
I am the chosen one. During a time of increased social instability in the wake of the George Floyd murder, tensions are growing at the disturbing sight of violence still taking place on city streets across the nation. You would think at a time like this, politicians would be calling for heightened measures to protect the public. Yet, in spite of the violence, Democrats are actively seeking ways to reduce security and give more latitude to the violent anarchists who are tearing up our streets, including almost forcing their way onto the White House lawn. Mere days after this frightening attempt to breach the perimeter of President Trump's private residence, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser criticized the very existence of a fence, saying it's a sad commentary that the house and its inhabitants have to be walled off. We should want the White House to be opened up for people to be able to access it from all sides. Then, not long after, the Utah National Guard confirmed that Mayor Bowser evicted them from a D.C. hotel, placing the city at even greater risk. And in other news, senior retired military figures are reportedly planning to stage a mutiny during a September town hall with fake news reporter Anderson Cooper, where they plan to tell the nation that President Trump is unfit for office in an attempt to hurt him at the polls. Unfortunately for these traitors, the American public are pleased with Trump's performance after he delivered an unprecedented economic boom, record employment, destroyed ISIS, killed warlord Soleimani, evened the score with China, denuclearized North Korea, and saved America's energy industry. Despite ongoing efforts by the corrupt establishment to inflame civil unrest and racial tension, push for fraudulent ballot harvesting, increase censorship of dissenting voices, extend the economic shutdown, encourage violence on the streets, stage destabilizing terror events, and weaponize the media, it is clear that President Trump is set for a landslide victory.
Alright, two things. I did have a Revelation video up, and I have to fix it. I haven't finished it yet because it's a lot of editing I have to do. It was my first video and it was a mess. But if you think that anything that you just saw has anything to do with the actual second coming, please read Revelations in your Bible. Alright, then I'm going to make a part 2 to this video showing just like how technology relates to everything that they're saying. And for that, I'm going to put in this tiny little snippet that shows where technology is heading as far as even just telepathy. Because they were talking about how you'll be able to hear someone in your head and that's how you'll know. No, because they're going to deceive you. It's in the Bible. And we have the technology already. So here's a little snippet and watch out for part 2 that will come out.
Without verbalizing anything, you can literally start to communicate with other people. So my lecture, we could all be standing here silently. I could just be communicating it to you. I could be talking, you would talk to people, you could literally have conversations with people without ever getting on your phone anywhere in the world. You know, goodbye WeChat or Google Hangouts. We could all just be on our brainwaves, right? Communicating with our friends, they could be dropping in on us. Very strange if we think about it.